Hey everyone, and thank you so much for turning up today for the PetCloud Investor webinar. We're really excited. And look, myself, Robin here from Birchal. I've had the pleasure of working with Deb and Gary for a little while now, working on their raise upcoming investment offer. And I'm really excited to be working together on this raise. And thank you everybody for coming up today, not only to hear more about PetCloud, but also to ask your questions about the investment offer coming up. I'm here and I can answer anything about equity crowdfunding. Obviously goes without saying. And for the likes of anything related to PetCloud, Deb and Gary here are going to be answering your questions. So just before we get started, I thought I'd throw it over to you two to quickly introduce yourselves.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Robin, for hosting this webinar for us. It's really important for us to be able to connect with our investors. So thank you, everyone. I know that your time is fairly precious as well, and a lot of you have been keen to find out a lot more about PetCloud, about its founders, and also how it began, and ask those important questions that you want to know. If also you don't want to connect with us publicly on this webinar, you are able to also follow up with private questions as well afterwards. So we're open to that. My email address is deb@petcloud.com.au, and I can also share Gary's as well. So let's get into it.
Absolutely.
So should we start with how PetCloud began?
Please do. And with regards to kind of beginning how PetCloud began, we'd love to hear that, and then a breakdown of the pitch. And just before we get started, the Q&A feature is what we're going to be using to answer questions throughout the webinar today. So if anybody who does have questions, please feel free to drop them in when you can. We're going to get to them soon. So yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, Deb, I'll hand it over to you.
That's all right. So basically, PetCloud began with a few different problems, but a few different opportunities as well. So for those of you that are pet owners, most hotels don't allow pets. There are a few more becoming pet friendly, but most hotels don't allow pets. And that won't be changing too much in the future as well, because there's huge liabilities with allowing pets into hotels, and that's why a service like ours is critical. Pet owners also are very connected with their pets, and they won't travel if they can't find an available pet carer that they can trust. And that was my problem. So when I began PetCloud, I actually had to fly interstate in and out for consulting for clients at very short notice. I had a little dog at home, which was very loved to bark, and I didn't have anyone to look after him and care for him. I was new to a certain neighborhood that I'd moved into, and it was a struggle because at that time Facebook didn't even have any market share in Australia, or they were just starting to come in, which is hard to believe. And so I looked around for pet care services. Eventually I came across a flyer, and then I contacted the service. I had to leave a message on a voice phone recording machine. And then I got sent some paperwork in the mail that took two weeks to get delivered to me. I had to fill out a form and then post that back. And then I got sent across town to meet a sitter who I knew nothing about her qualifications, police checks, whether she had a rabid dog, but I didn't even ask, I didn't know what questions to ask as a pet owner. I was a bit wide-eyed. I knew that I took care of my pet well, but I just wasn't sure until sometimes you've had a bad experience happen. You don't know how to avoid that. So that is where RSPCA Queensland comes in, because they are a trusted, guided service that have partnered with PetCloud to reduce the risk of harm or loss to pets in holiday care. So before they partnered with PetCloud, I had a few coffee meetings with them, but they actually had a problem themselves, and they wanted to reduce the rate of animal abandonment at holiday time, because they would get dogs tied up to their front doors at 5 a.m. At Easter time when people were wanting to head away, or when they were moving house. And there just wasn't a local, trusted, affordable, quality, reputable service available. And so I did also try out a kennel at that time, and I found some were booked out. Another one that I did come across, I said, "Oh, great! Can I please have a tour?" And they said, "Oh, we don't do tours." And I was like, "Oh, so I can't see where my little dog's going to sleep and play and stuff?" And they went, "Oh no, it upsets the other dogs." And then I mentioned this to the CEO of RSPCA Queensland at the time, and he said, "Oh yeah, we commonly don't accredit a lot of kennels because of just there are historically a lot of hygiene problems." And what a lot of people may not know is in the industry there is a thing called stacking, and what happens is they get multiple cages and they just absolutely maximize the number of pets during Easter holidays, Christmas holidays, school holidays, and maximize the number that can fit in a room to maximize their revenue during that period. It's stressful, it's unhygienic, it's noisy, there's wee and poo everywhere, and a lot of pets pick up, as you know, kennel cough. So that's why it's called that today. And then also with the other opportunities and challenges that pet owners have. Not all pet owners can drive, and you would have seen if you've been following PetCloud along on our LinkedIn newsfeed that we've launched a national pet taxi service, and the first one in Australia. It has a driver's app, it has a pet owner's app, and it also has a private pet taxi dispatch portal that we can work with B2B customers for groomers and for animal hospitals and vet clinics for interclinic transfers. You'll also notice that as pet owners ourselves, not all pet venues are pet friendly. And I always thought I'd love to just drive down the highway, press a button on my app, and I can just see around me all the venues that are pet friendly. So I can call into a cafe. You know, I know that I can't leave my dog in the car because it's boiling hot. But, you know, all I want is convenience. And then if I take my pet to a dog-friendly beach, if it gets bitten or stung by a blue bottle or cut with glass, I want to press that one button on my app that can tell me where are all the vet clinics without having to go through Google and your top 10 blogs of the top 10 endorsed, you know, vet clinics. And, you know, you just want one reputable button that's fast, quick and easy. And then also with the low rate of entry into the pet industry, typically it's come from a cottage industry, and what we've taken is commercialized it, wrapped a safe framework around it, and that's entirely different from what is out there. So, you know, your Gumtree operators are not always accountable or reliable, and some can take off with your dog. And you may not see your dog again. So there is plenty of pet theft around. And some may love pets, but they're also not trained in the standard of animal care that the RSPCA expects. And then also just in terms of a pet owner, 0.7 ourselves, I also found, and friends of mine found, that it's a very disconnected experience being a pet owner, and it's still not entirely solved. We've got an enormous opportunity to create a .com pet ecosystem that we have and connect everything together in a one-stop shop with your vet clinics, your pet bakeries, your pet sitters, your dog walkers, and all in a cute little pet profile that has your pet's health needs, habit, training, vaccination, storage, microchip number, council number, and little reminders as to when those things are due. As you know, sometimes when we move house, paper vaccination certificates can get misplaced or lost. And so that was another opportunity and a value add for pet owners in that we actually have created a schedule of vaccinations for puppies and kittens, depending on the pet type that's added, and you can upload storage of those things. So out of all these challenges, these are the opportunities that were identified, and we're really excited that we can bring this to the market in a really helpful, handy to use app. In terms of, before I get talking to the wider pet ecosystem, I also just wanted to talk a little bit more about my own background and experience. Like, how does someone just go from being a frustrated pet owner to just creating an ecosystem? So prior to PetCloud, I was actually consulting throughout Europe for different companies, your top 100 FTSE 100 companies. I got to work on defence sites, superannuation sites, dental sites, all sorts of stuff. And then also in Australia here, I was product owner for the Virgin Australia website and mobile apps. And through that experience, it actually taught me about the importance of prioritizing and also tracking, so that you can understand with different changes and measuring different changes, and you can begin to test and A/B test your product online, so that you can convert traffic that's already coming to your site, but it converts at a when I say convert, I mean they become a buying or a booking customer a lot faster, and with using a lot less funds to do that. So that experience also put me in good stead, because the Virgin Australia website before COVID-19 was a $4 billion revenue generating website annually per year. And so, yeah, we take in the same Scrum practices that we do there. We have an agile board. We have, online virtual stand-ups with what people did this week, what they did last week, if there's any blockers, all of that sort of thing. So we take a lot of these great practices to streamline our processes. And so that's my background in terms of, how does, someone who just goes from a frequent flyer, pet owner who's frustrated, to creating an ecosystem. I was passionate about solving my problem, and previously I'd solved other businesses' problems. And then I thought, this is a big enough problem to solve. And I was one of the key stakeholders. So yeah, and we were fortunate enough to also work with Gary, who's come along to our team. Gary is really valuable to PetCloud. He has worked in all different areas of the business. He doesn't typically say, oh, that's not my area. Well, actually, he never says that's not my area. He's extremely helpful. He has about 10 years commercial experience, and I'll let Gary introduce himself as well, but we're really lucky to have him in that he has worked from the ground up right through to board level, so he has a full understanding of our business. So over to you, Gary.
Thank you, Deb, for the nice introduction. Yes, PetCloud. I started when I started working with PetCloud when I was at uni doing my masters at Queensland University of Technology, QUT, here in Brisbane. And I started as a part-timer, but when it started, I got to know lots of things about business, starting from, customers' appreciation and complaints, to finances, because I come from finance background. So every day was a new day for me in terms of learning and getting to know PetCloud. It's deep because there's so much opportunity. And along the way, in a couple of years, it's been a great journey. And yeah, Deb has been leading from front, and on the other side, I handle finance. I handle so my core expertise lies in finance. I've done my master's in business, applied finance, and then before that, I did my chartered financial analyst. So, but operations and commercial things I love to do. I love to experiment and research, do market research, and come up with new ideas to grow the business.
And automate and streamline.
Yeah, and I love data. I love numbers and number crunching, those stuff. Yeah, going to you're talking about PetCloud. Now we are at a time when right after COVID-19. We can see lots of quick recovery, and we have already, in fact, surpassed our onboarding process and whatever we were doing pre-COVID. So that's a great news, and we've got several new things to do with this raise. of course, it will help us grow much quicker than we were thinking.
Terrific. So, Robin, was there any more questions from you? Otherwise, I'll keep going. Oh, no, he's on silent. That's
I think
okay.
we'd love, yeah, I always fear doing that. So we'd love to go through the rest of the pitch deck.
Yeah, cool.
And I'd love if when we tick back over, just hit the present button. So then if people are viewing it on a small screen, they get a slightly bigger view.
Okay.
So yeah, that could help. And anybody who has any questions, please do use that Q&A feature to ask them as well. And we can pick them up. Hopefully they'll be answered in the slide deck itself. But yeah, if not, then it applies, then we'll definitely answer them live.
All right, great. Okay, so I'll just share my screen again. Hopefully everyone can see. Load. Okay, so PetCloud, as I said, there are many different revenue streams, and the intention is to take like onboard pets with their pet profile, have them at the heart of our pet ecosystem, and then create revenue streams for every single phase of the pet's life right through to death. Being an ecosystem as well, it is incredibly resilient because it means that you are able to create different partnerships and different revenue streams to factor in for different environments with the business and with the economy as well. So, for example, with dog walks, they even differ from pet sitting, because dog walks are a recurring booking, which is more of a SaaS model, as opposed to a marketplace matching model between two sides of the market. So we actually have a few different revenue streams, but this is an example of our pet profile. This is an example of how you can find vet clinics that are nearby. And also, I wonder if I can minimize that. Probably not. And this is how you can find your dog-friendly cafes. We have, as I said, a very high quality pet services network. We actually also have super fans. We have had people, literally pet sitters, fly over from Perth to come and meet the heart of PetCloud, which warms my heart. But there are a lot of sitters that are real massive advocates for PetCloud. A lot of them become our ambassadors in the media as well, and love to be on camera. This is our pet taxi app that pet owners do. And if you head to our YouTube channel, you can actually see a working example and a tutorial as to how our pet taxi works. This is our pet sitter listing. With regards to our interface, we've recently made some changes. So currently you'll see on the interface that is live that there's just pet sitters near you at the top row. But what we've done in the last 2 days, we're always iterating and always improving on our product. But we've updated this, it'll be released soon, to say my favorite providers, so that people can add their favorite vet clinic, their favorite dog walker, their favorite groomer, so that it's quick and easy at the drop of a hat. In terms of the market size opportunity, it's absolutely substantial. So, right now, pet owners are spending 100 billion annually across the world, globally. And in Australia alone, we spend about 13 billion on all different avenues of pet care. We believe that we can get at least 20 million of that with the right funding. And why do we believe that? Well, basically during COVID, we decided to, while pet owners weren't traveling as much, we decided to focus in on our product and do a lot of testing and conversion optimization, so that pet owners were converting at a much cheaper acquisition amount, which means by the time the market opens back up and people start traveling more, it means that your invested dollar goes further. And when you're using really smart data analysis tools and you begin to track the funnel of your apps and of your website, and you're working with experts and analysts, it goes from, it takes an investment opportunity like this, takes it from a guessing game and it takes the risk into a science. And you can literally feel like, you can literally see that you're in with a safe pair of hands with regards to being able to track and see how pet owners go through our onboarding funnel, how pet sitters go through our onboarding funnel, and the rate at which they convert. So that is how we work. We're very data driven, and we also have hyperlocal reporting set up by postcode across the entire of Australia. So we're serious about getting aggressive growth in the coming year, because we've basically, as I said, focused on our product. We've pushed out our apps ahead of a lot of other people out there. And what we have in the market is unique. And we have the partnerships to be able to do it, especially with RSPCA Queensland. In order for trust to happen on a platform, trust is needed for transactions to occur, and we've got that trust and that reputation. In terms of competitor analysis, g'day to our competitors if you're on there. We've done some matching, but we have a lot of value adds that we provide to pet owners, and that's what creates that stickiness and why people keep also returning to our platform. So not only because of high trust, high quality, but also high value. And then in general, with the Australian market competitors, you know, dog kennels and catteries, there are some positive, but also some negatives. You know, poor hygiene conditions. Family and friends, they're not always available, and you might wear out your favour with your family, and they might expect you to help them move house the week after after they've helped you with your pet.
Really
and
terrible job.
and do a terrible job, and then it's awkward and yeah, all hatey between the two. And then with Gumtree, there's literally, we've got the best insurance in place. Our insurance premiums are low because we are low risk. We literally have worked very hard with our RSPCA partners on that, in that we've done round tables with senior vets, foster carers, inspectors, dog trainers, the marketing team, and whoever else at RSPCA to literally talk through how PetCloud onboards pet owners, how PetCloud onboards sitters, and then how that meet and greet takes place. So we were actually leading the market with making meet and greets mandatory, and that means it allows the pet owner and the pet sitter to meet up and do a full tour and property check together. And that way you are given a higher chance of having a worry-free time away from your pet, knowing that there is great compatibility between your pet and their property, or the sitter's pets, or their children, or anyone else they live with. So it just takes that uncertainty and risk out. We've had exponential web traffic over the last 4 years, and that's something that we also focused on during COVID, was just aggressively building up our organic traffic, because by the time the market opens up, we do want investor dollars to go a lot further. So your typical e-commerce business has about 5 to 10% each year. We've been growing at about 40%. We are experiencing record GMV growth. With 3 years GMV CAGR at 52%, which is terrific. And so pretty much everyone around the world had a bit of a blip when COVID happened. And then what we've seen is a strong recovery when that domestic travel market has opened back up. So with our marketing plan, as you would have seen with the video, we also we've just formed a partnership with Wyndham Destination, who have about 58,000 loyalty members, and this will enable us to springboard further across the market. We also will be collaborating with cruise networks, airline frequent flyer programs, vet networks, NDIS networks. We already have a shelter API integration, and working with TAFEs as we do as well. And we've got more videos on our YouTube channel. And that's one of them that you would have seen. We've had substantial coverage, including former Prime Minister, but you can go and catch them on our LinkedIn or on our YouTube. And there's Glenn Richards, one of our early celebs who we got to speak to. Let's keep going. All right, so attraction and milestones. So every founder starts off with a bit of bootstrapping. Then it took, we had an MVP launched, and we got strategic investment and partnership by RSPCA Queensland and Green Cross Limited. So they actually own part of a stake in PetCloud as well. So Green Cross and Pet Barn. And then a refined version of PetCloud was built, and we had about 60,000 users by year 2. Then we forged more partnerships and started evolving into more of a lifestyle product with user engagement. And now we are looking at just building our .com site, but also continuing to work on our SEO, but then also aggressively marketing in this year. With regards to revenue forecast, we can't actually, we would love to, and we do have those forecasts, but we will be providing you some historical financial statements in our offer document, which will be released on the 15th of June. So you're able to model and make financial forecasts over the next 5 years. But with the global market going to reach 358 billion annual spend in a few years' time, the opportunity is absolutely enormous, and we are perfectly positioned to take it on. With regards to fundraising and valuation, Gary, would you like to talk through this slide?
Yes, so the per share price is $8.50, and our board has approved to raise 1.9 million, so $2 million or less. But we raised some funds from existing investors as well. So currently on offer is a little bit less, but yeah, that's how it is. And we are diluting 19.35% on this round. If anyone has got any questions on that, I'll be happy to answer in the future. Okay. Because that can go into, I don't want to go into numbers unless specifically asked. But we arrived at a value depending on a hybrid model where we leveraged the current market metrics along with our some reasonable forecasting.
Okay, and then use of funds. So so what we'll be doing is spending some of it on marketing and advertising, but then also using staff wages to generate a lot more of that organic and free traffic growth, where we don't have to spend money, but we'll use smart methods to be able to create those funnels and drive customers at a low cost. It will also, some of it will be spent on IT and admin related software and subscriptions there. And then just a small amount related to our offer and raise with Birchal. So, and then some of it will be growing our affiliate program with credits and cash incentives with people across the industry, and also our partnerships, leveraging our new hotel partnership, which takes time and effort to nurture, and also across the NDIS network. Okay, so in terms of market validation, we have, if you go petcloud.com.au/reviews, you will see thousands of reviews. We love reading these. It really warmed my heart. I can tell you, it actually literally brings tears to my eyes, because I just think, oh my gosh, like I had this problem, I built this thing, and these people, like, you know, for example, this sitter has gone and saved this person's trip, and this one's gone and saved this one's wedding. And I just read these stories and I'm just like, wow, like it's awesome. Like there's all different life scenarios that people need help with, that they can't rely on their family for, or they don't have a social network, or their family can't, or their friends are not available, or something's happened. And it's all these amazing sitters who are just helping out these busy and time poor and traveling pet owners. We have the best strategic board in the business. We've got Darren Mayer, who is the RSPCA Queensland CEO. And we also leverage their call center. So we pay fees to them to help cover operational costs. And they also, we have an open and very, very transparent relationship with them. It's a great relationship, actually. And over the years, we've been invited to all of their enormous events for free. And unfortunately, just during COVID, they haven't been able to have those events on for free. So how we're going to be supporting them moving forward is just adding a donation throughout the booking funnel as an optional offering for pet owners if they want to help our RSPCA. Roger Sayers is an absolute golden gun. I love him. He goes above and beyond as a chairperson, but he's run and seen so many businesses, chaired so many businesses, and come across so many problems. I don't think there's a problem he wouldn't know how to solve. Gary, he's awesome, and he's on here, and I've got to say nice things. No, he's terrific. No, he's terrific. He literally will have a go at anything, and he can figure it out. With Monica, she has excellent experience and background in commercial partnerships, and actually has quite an impressive medical health and I think it was neuroscience background. I forget off Monica's background, but she has a software and partnerships and health background as well. So she's been excellent, just having that balanced view on our board, and has had a great voice of reason with some of our proposals that have come across in our meetings. Then with Mark, Mark is our one of our other investors. As you might know him as being one of the founding investors of fast growth fitness franchise F45, and Mark is into all sorts of investments, and he has a heart for making an impact, and he sees what PetCloud is doing with its social impact and work, and really wants to help us make it the #1 brand in Australia, and he is a strong advocate for PetCloud. With regard to our wider team, we are able to have this size team because we automate and streamline a lot of the things. We don't, want this huge, enormous, 200-man team, because we think if it's that big, you're not automating a lot of things that really should be automated and streamlined. So we aim to hire trustworthy and smart people who are able to spot opportunities, but also are able to build relationships with customers. So yeah, and that's basically our slide deck. So let's have a look and see if there's any questions so far.
Yeah, we've absolutely got a few questions in here already. And I think one of the ones which really highlighted to me earlier, and one of the things, so this has been asked from Lucy here, and thanks very much for your question around the revenue model. I know that what I will say that a lot of the detail for this is going to be in the offer document, but I guess at a high level, Gary and Deb here can answer your question on, can we please go through the revenue model and detail for each part of the business and touch on the cost side as well, e.g. such as key fixed and variable costs. Specifically, I mean, look, on a high level, we can go through this, but it is going to be in the offer document for you to kind of delve into that extra detail and ask those specific questions. Is there anything else that Deb and Gary, you wanted to add?
So it's a marketplace model. Just quick on revenue. As you know, our major business is marketplace model, where we try to connect two sites. So we take, our take rate is 19%, but we do take booking fee, which is 10% as of now. And then there are transaction fees charged by the banking partners. So that's a separate, which is less than 2%. But what we earn is our booking fee remains with us the moment a booking is confirmed, and 19% is there. So, and that is what 19% we follow on every single thing we do. But now, because of introduction of booking fee, we have been able to increase our margin significantly.
So then in terms of the other revenue streams, typically if it is referrals from other partners or from other offerings, so say for example, if we refer a pet cremation service, then we will get a small portion of commission from that. And just like with our blog, which we're looking to monetize further from just the enormous organic traffic that we're getting, we will have affiliate banners throughout the blog and links, which also give us a set amount of commission as well.
Yeah, awesome. And somebody else just below here has asked a question saying, can Deb touch on the rationale just behind having individual apps for the taxi versus sitting, etc., and talking about the kind of the individuality of the apps themselves?
So with regards to the technology of the pet taxi apps, that was a pivot of ours. We decided to focus on servicing vet clinics during the pandemic because there was high demand for vets and services in that area. So that way it's a dedicated B2B service, and we can focus on serving animal hospitals and vet clinics. That has its own map, and that was a separate technology that we began to work with. And then we also do have the ability on our other app, our pet sitting and dog walking app, we have almost like an Airtasker functionality where it's on demand. And you're able to post a job of any kind, whether it's pet sitting, dog walking, whatever it is, and it sends out an alert in a 25k radius, and available people who match that service in that local area, who are all police checked and insured, apply. So yeah.
Just to add to that, we technologically, it's not always feasible to have everything at one place, just like Uber. Uber has got so many apps. Just because it's easy to manage, and if something breaks down and technology is so much complex, it shouldn't impact everything. You can't manage user base just like that. We thought about it to integrate, but it was lengthy and not so.
Absolutely. The next question is actually for me. So somebody has asked, can we please touch on how flexible the investment is in terms of participation time? Is there a minimum and maximum length, and how easy is it to withdraw? So in any equity crowdfunding offer, there is a minimum target and a maximum target. And there is a period of time, there's an opening date and a closing date for the investment offer itself. And every single investor, retail investor, is actually given 5 calling off days with their withdrawal rights, essentially. So if you do make an investment and then decide it's not for you, you do have the right to withdraw that investment. That is completely up to you. So essentially, all the information is going to be there when we open up the investment offer, which is actually now going to happen on the 15th of June. And all the information to make really so much of the questions that are asked here, answers are going to be provided in the offer document itself.
Oh, Robin, did you want to touch on sophisticated investors and the certificate requirements?
Absolutely. So for all investors who are looking to invest more than $10,000, we do require a wholesale investor certificate, and this wholesale investor certificate needs to be assigned by an accountant to provide proof that essentially you've had income of $250,000 over the last 2 financial years, or assets that amount to $2.5 million. Essentially, any wholesale investors will know that this is a requirement, and accountants kind of see these forms come through all the time. But we do need that when you sign up to make your investment application, so we can approve it immediately. If you go through the process, you can get a copy of the certificate there, but we will send you a document so you can see this ahead of time as well. Great. As well as this, we've had a question around traction and some of your key user and adoption metrics. I know that you've gone through this a little bit in the slide, but I think from a punchy perspective, it's really interesting to see just how big and substantial PetCloud has become now. So really, from some of your traction, take it away.
Yep. So in terms of across Australia, we've got over 30,000 pet sitters and walkers. And then in our in our email new subscribers, we've got about 120,000 subscribers. But then in our database as a whole, we've got 100,000 people.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. And somebody's asked here, do you intend to grow abroad, or are there sort of regulatory barriers restricting that aspect of growth of PetCloud?
Eventually, we would love to grow abroad, and that's why we've got our .com domain as well that we've acquired. But there is an enormous opportunity right now in Australia. There is so much data telling us that what PetCloud offers is exactly what the market is looking for.
Yeah, I personally love hearing that from the perspective of knowing companies who have gone out there, got their initial users, and then sometimes say they want to go overseas before they've even mastered the opportunities on their doorstep. It's actually quite incredible just how much of an opportunity there is for so many companies locally well before going overseas. And so even having got to that figure where you've got over 100,000 subscribers, just sticking to your roots and saying, no, we are going to absolutely maximize our opportunity here in Australia, I think is fantastic to hear before you go and look to go overseas. So no, that's great to hear. And somebody here has asked around the revenue streams beyond pet minding. I know that you've kind of discussed all the other revenue streams as a business, perhaps kind of talking a little bit about what's become almost a focus on the business in terms of the revenue streams and where you kind of continue to see it going. You've really talked about every aspect of a pet's life, and then some of those partnerships, and then the blog as an opportunity. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so it's literally, if you think of everything right from your puppy socialization classes to right through to dog walking, to dog minding, but any service that we don't currently physically offer, we will partner with other people and get a commission for those referral fees, and they will likewise refer their customers to us. So it's working with some strong and solid partners who really know how to collaborate and share a vision with us to actually see this grow and take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And somebody above here has just said, it looks like your revenue had dropped a tiny bit just towards the end of 2019 before COVID. And they're just asking for a little bit of clarification just on the pitch presentation that you presented before.
Yeah, so I was capital raising then. And so, we had a large investor. So that's at the time when Mark was just about to come on board. And so that took me away from the business at a key time when I needed to be focused on marketing and stuff like that. But I can only do certain things, and I needed to focus on just getting him in as a valuable investor, and it enabled us to really expedite our development. And what we've pushed out now is ahead of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Charles here is more of a statement saying that they recommend that the ecosystem that you're building needs to partner with a pet food company. I'm sure this has been, you've been no doubt been approached by quite a few, and it's actually pet food itself has become quite a focus, not only locally, but overseas. We've even seen some acquisitions in this space itself. So there's definitely a focus on pet food, and no doubt your blog with significantly more traffic is getting a lot more interest from the likes of potential pet food companies here. But
so we have no restrictions on collaborating with pet food companies anywhere in the world except for Australia. We have no restrictions on working with different vet clinics.
The opportunities are there. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and this is completely your decision actually, but can you give more details on the Wyndham Destinations partnerships? Is the next question from Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're enormous. We are collaborating with them to help some of their pet-friendly hotels and help their travel network travel better, because there is there's a big barrier to traveling when you own pets. Sometimes you want to leave them behind with a sitter, but sometimes you also, when you're at the destination, if you have your pet with you, there might be art galleries, or you might want to head out to dinner or to a state forest or to a marine park. And a lot of those places, you can't take a dog with you. So what are you going to do? Leave it in a hotel room where it can scratch up everything or pee and poop and, you know, howl, or you can't do that. So we've partnered with them so that we can also, you know, help both pets and their owners have a pleasant time at their hotels, whether they travel with their pets or without.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And we've had a question below. Is there an intention to have vets enter their pet health record information into this ecosystem? I saw a question on this before, actually,
Yep.
and I know that there's a lot coming up in this space. So really interested, I think, for everybody to be able to hear.
So what was that? Is there an intention for what?
For pets to enter their pet health record information into this ecosystem of PetCloud?
Yeah, they can already.
Yeah.
We've been working hard on the pet profile, but you'll be able to see if you download the latest app, you'll be able to enter in all sorts of information. But if you in particular are a vet clinic and want to work with us on particular use cases and things like that, we're more than happy to speak with you about that and see how we can develop it further to meet your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic, fantastic. And actually, the final question here, Charles, has really gone through and asked a few questions and really just asking around your CTO. And do you have a CTO? I think you covered that off in the presentation.
Yeah, we do. So, his name's Nitin. He is not on this particular webinar, but he's awesome. He's been with PetCloud for about 2 or 3 years now. And he has been able to do what not a lot of people have been able to do. He works with different workflows, with different payment merchants, with different payment authorization models. He's very flexible, very knowledgeable, and very switched on. And we love the strategy that he's brought to PetCloud as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, fantastic. And this question below is actually something I remember we talked about, Deb, which is asking, is there any interest in the future to expand the business model to include online pet supplies, similar to, say, Chewy in the US? And obviously, you know, people who aren't too familiar, Chewy is a multi-billion-dollar business, which is, you know, being bought out and grew exponentially in the US. So
yeah, so we don't have restrictions in other countries. So if we choose to go to other countries, we can do that. But right now in Australia, as I mentioned before, we are partnered with Pet Barn, and we so, you know, we will help our partners as much as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And actually, Monica here has asked a question around how much you focus on SEO. Obviously, you've built up a huge community, and your marketing has been really effective in growing the business. So they're asking if you have somebody who's really dedicated on SEO and what your marketing team looks like.
Yeah, so we do have someone who is dedicated on our SEO. Our marketing team consists of Facebook advertising and SEM, running universal app campaigns to drive app downloads and acquisitions from pet owners and pet sitters. A lot of our marketing tools these days also have AI built into it, embedded into it, which also help with the insights and being able to target those different audiences geographically. But yeah, that's we love trying to make invested dollars go further and making pet owners and pet sitters convert at a much lower rate.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think even on the marketing side, people are really intrigued in this sense, because we've had another question really from somebody asking how you're kind of pushing the marketing to the platform and in the way that you communicate to people from a nice to have almost to a must have for a pet owner itself. Obviously, you've got all the facilities there, but I'm intrigued to hear your answer.
So we have a multi-pronged marketing strategy, and we do automate our onboarding with pet owners and pet sitters. But the more that we build relationships with both sides of the market, it does require that human touch to make someone feel valued. You can't replace that with technology. And so, yeah, we have personalization. We have in terms of our like our omni-channel ecosystem, we are able to recognize when someone has made an inquiry with through our website, through live chat, and then also the same person again through our help desk, and then also in our other email comms on in our CRM, we're able to see what pages they looked at and what kind of device they had. So that helps give us the context and also personalize our responses back to them based on being able to see who they are, what they've looked at, and possibly where their problem is or what they're wanting more of.
In fact, I actually think, just on this sort of topic, while we're talking about marketing and we've spoken a little bit around international expansion versus domestic expansion. I know that for yourselves, you've really built up the business, and there's so many areas in Australia where you've really identified PetCloud can be the answer to some of these, geographic locations. I'd love you to really talk a little bit more about that, because I think it's really important when you're asked about international expansion as opposed to, your local expansion and where the business can really grow.
Yeah, so we see it as just in terms of our metro areas is where we see the highest demand. So in a city where people might be time poor, their income might be higher. So that's where the highest demand is and where people are traveling. It's also with our B2B partners, it is surrounding their premises and working with them. Because as you know, with our pet taxi network, we need to be fast and efficient and reliable and surrounding their animal hospital or their clinic so that we can officially transport pets. So yeah, so it's sort of all around those areas. We're on the Central Coast, we're in every capital city, we're in all the holiday hotspots, and of course we're near state forests in case you need us, and we're near airports.
Awesome. To everybody who's attending, by the way, I love the questions which we've got remaining, but we've still got a little bit of time left. We're going to get through as many questions as we possibly can. So please do use the Q&A feature if there's any questions which you still have, which you feel haven't been answered yet at this point. So one person here as well, which is an anonymous attendee, has asked, Ari, your shopping interface, do you plan to partner with current providers like Pet Circle, I think it is?
Yep. So we have a store already that is online that offers dog and cat themed gifts for animal lovers. So they're actually human gifts, but they're dog and cat themed. We have, as I mentioned before, we have an agreement with Pet Barn that we will help partner with them in Australia. And with our partners, we back them 100%. So yeah, we've got an agreement.
Awesome. And you've had a question here just around the key differences between something like PetCloud and PawShake, which obviously has walking and sitting services. I'm sure that you've been asked this question many times before, so take it away.
So we have a very, very comprehensive pet profile. We make meet and greets mandatory. We have health and vaccinations. We're Australian owned and Australian made. PawShake's from Belgium. We make police checks mandatory. What else? If you want a trusted premium service, then PetCloud is what you're after. We also have a dog-friendly directory for pet owners to be able to look up vet clinics and dog-friendly beaches and cafes nearby. So in terms of the experience, I think there's a lot more value adds on PetCloud, but it just depends on what what you're looking for and what strategy you're after. So yeah, we love what we do, and we love that we can make our mark with an Australian brand and really grow it and make an impact on animal welfare and also people in Australia.
Most definitely, most definitely. And you have, by no means is it surprising at all going into a capital raise, being asked the questions sort of just around your valuation and what sort of driven your valuation at the point it is today. No doubt businesses go through multiple different rounds, and so your valuation can a lot of the time be sort of attributed to the last round, and sort of the growth that you've seen since then as a business. Yeah, really just you've had a couple of questions on sort of where you've come to your valuation and what your justification is for it. So
sure, I'll take that question. So around valuation, you've got multiple methods to do though. So there are like it's a subjective valuation of whatever we have available as of now. We try to make assumptions which are justified, of course. So if you talk about MadPaws, right? We took their inputs, their multiples on the first day, how they went up just because of exuberance in the market, and there is still, and market size is big. So because that's the publicly traded company, we took that as a benchmark, and then we did our internal cash flows. And on the basis of that, we combine both multiple and free cash flow method to arrive at this valuation. And we still think this is very, very attractive from investment point of view.
yeah, awesome. Fantastic. And look, if anybody has any other questions, please do use the Q&A feature to add them in here. As we've got to the end of the questions, I'd love to invite Deb or Gary to touch on anything else that you feel we haven't covered in detail that you'd like to let investors know about at this point.
Yeah, there was a question from audience about the use of funds. So yeah, we do have a strategy on how we are going to deploy funds for maximum value for our bucks.
Yeah.
We're going to spend like roughly 17% on marketing and advertising. And our product is now really advanced, so we can start monetizing them. We have our organic strategy in place in terms of marketing, where we are investing on SEO, somebody asked. So that will go there. Staff wages will be roughly wages cost. We are going to hire more people after round. So maybe 39% is expected to go there. And then we've got offer costs, as you know, Birchal platform we're using. That is there, roughly 6%. IT and hardware, we are a tech company, so that 20% has been allocated there. And then G&A, general and admin, SG&A, you can call it. So no, not SG&A, but G&A, 12% is allocated there. But yeah, offer document will have more details on it, surely.
Fantastic. Absolutely. And yeah, that's exactly it. The offer document is the all-encompassing document, which is going to feature changes in equity, your cap table, all your financials. So for anybody who's got any more detailed questions, if you feel like, you really wanted just a bit more clarity on this, it's going to be in the offer document, but there's always an opportunity to follow up with any of us. I'll send everybody a recording of this so you can check it out in your own time as well.
Thanks a lot, Robin.
No, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for everybody attending, it's been great to go through your questions. I'm really looking forward to opening up this investment offer soon.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Look forward to connecting with you soon. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.